Israel took action to unite the Arabs. Israel wanted to divert water from the Sea of Galilee for agricultural purposes. The sea is the headwaters of the Jordan River, which runs through the West Bank and Jordan. They feared the Jordan would dry up and therefore no water for the people of Jordan. The Syrians made plans with Jordan to divert water from Syria that was flowing into the Sea of Galilee. Therefore, the Israelis would not be able to have water in the Sea of Galilee. Notice in the middle map, just at the top of Israel, there's a little area shaded in blue. That is the Sea of Galilee. Syria is a higher elevation. Water from the mountains flows into the Sea of Galilee, and then it flows directly through that middle green section to the Dead Sea and through Jordan. Thus, fresh water for both the Israelis and the Palestinian people. All the Arab countries were not ready to fight a new war and started to arm from the Soviets with advanced jets. In 1964, the Arab countries also voted to form the Palestine Liberation Organization. Part of its charter was for the Palestinians to destroy the state of Israel. However, in the liberated areas, the Jews and Christians could live in peace under Palestinian rule. While they tried to create an army, they also created a guerrilla force, Al-Fatah, meaning conquest. In January 1965, Yasser Arafat led this group, and they attacked Israel's water system. The Israelis attacked a village in Jordan for retaliation. In 1966, a more radical group of the Shia Alawite sect took over in Syria. They became more hostile against Israel. President Nasser of Egypt was bogged down in the country of Yemen and could not fight yet against Israel, but Nasser did agree to a military alliance with Syria. This would be a big mistake for the Egyptians. In April 1967, Israeli fighter flew into Syrian airspace and 6 jets were shot down. The Syrians were shelling Israeli settlements from the Golan Heights. Israel started to mass troops along the Syrian border. President Nasser of Egypt called up reserves and sent forces into the Sinai, which was demilitarized. The UN withdrew its peacekeeping force. Egypt again closed the Israeli port of Eilat. King Hussein of Jordan met with Nasser to coordinate his military. Moshe Dayan became the new Minister of Defense. On June 5, 1967, Israel launched a surprise attack against Egyptian, Jordanian, and Syrian airfields, destroying their air power. Now that the skies belonged to Israel, they launched an invasion of the Sinai and marched to the Suez in only 4 days. On June 7th, Israel took all of Jerusalem, then took the West Bank of the Jordan River. 200,000 Palestinians fled to Jordan. Finally, Israel stormed and occupied the Golan Heights from Syria. It could have taken Damascus, but the Syrians signed an armistice. The Arab leaders were humiliated again. Combined, they had 2,700 tanks to Israel's 800, 800 fighter planes to Israel's 190, and 217 ships to Israel's 37. Plus, the Arabs had a population 20 times that of Israel. This was a major victory for Israel. However, during this conflict, there would be a problem between Israel and the United States. A U.S. spy ship, jammed with electronic gear, was gathering intelligence on Israeli and Egyptian military procedures. Israeli jets and gunboats attacked the vessel, killing 34 Americans and wounding another 172. Israel officially claimed that they thought it was an Egyptian vessel. However, the report was never made public, and many thought Israel was warning against American encroachment. Remember, the U.S. did not back them in the Suez War. However, there was no retaliation, and Israel paid for damages. Israel gained the West Bank, the Golan Heights, Sinai, and Gaza, tripling its territory. It quickly annexed East Jerusalem and hardened the Arab position not to negotiate with Israel. The Soviet Union replaced Egypt and Syria's lost weapons and sent technicians to train their armies. The PLO waged more guerrilla warfare and pleaded their case as an oppressed people to the Western media. The United Nations approved SC Resolution 242. They called for the withdrawal of Israeli forces from all occupied territories gained from the war, the right of every state to live in peace and security within recognized borders, freedom of navigation in international waterways, such as the Straits of Tiran and the Suez Canal, and a just settlement of the refugee problem. These Palestinians that had been in the refugee camps from 1948 can go back to their homeland. So looking at the last map on the right is the Middle East in 1967. Israel conquered the Gaza Strip, shaded in orange. They also took all of the West Bank of the Jordan River, plus the Golan Heights of Syria. More importantly, they took all of the Sinai Peninsula up to the Suez Canal. Much of this was very arid as far as the Sinai Peninsula, but by having this as a buffer zone, they knew that the Egyptians would not be able to really threaten them. By conquering Gaza and the West Bank, they will have now incorporated hundreds of thousands of Palestinians into Israel's population. So that would be a problem for the future. Most Israelis think that they have the right to own Jerusalem because that was the original city that was built by the Jews over 2,000 years ago. Israel still controls the West Bank today. Thus, there is no permanent peace still between the Palestinians and the Israelis.